Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. It's me, Josie, coming on live inside our group for our live training. Today is day one. Who's here? Come on in. Welcome. We're going to gather for a quick second and then we're going to get started. I'm so excited that you decided to join. I know that your time is valuable. I know that there's so much that you have impinging on your energy. I know that you're overwhelmed if you're coming to this training workshop. And I want to reassure you that it should and will be time well spent because I'm really prepared to share some really good training and some actionable tips for you with you in these 2 days together. So if you're coming on live, come on in and give me a hey, a hello, say hi. And even if you're joining me on replay, give me a hashtag replay. I love knowing who's here. I love feeling the connection and the energy. I often say that my superpower is teaching, training, and coaching, and I'm really excited and on fire and in my element when I'm able to be able to convey training that's really actionable and uplifting and to inspire. But my super fuel is connection. And so in this, a one-way broadcast where I cannot see you or hear you and you can't unmute or come on camera, it's just a one-way broadcast. It means the world to me if I can see your energy by you typing in the comments, letting me know that you're joining, letting me know what resonates for you when I give you a challenge, and just to be part of the community of being seen and feeling supported and that you're not alone and to have like-minded sisters also here in the group with you. It's so powerful. So it's all about the connection. So I want to start by saying, if you haven't joined me before, these are temporary trainings that I put in my pop-up groups just when I have time in my calendar to be able to inspire and infuse a new group with some new training. It lights my fire and it also gives me the opportunity to really meet with my community. So at the end, I will be inviting you to understand how you can continue working with me if you want to take these trainings deeper. That's part of what I do. But in the meantime, my whole intention is to share generously and to give you some actionable tips that you can put into practice immediately so that you can start to feel a shift in your life. If you're feeling like your big job is giving you big stress, if you are overwhelmed, if you're recently promoted, or if you're just nervous about all of the responsibilities that you hold, even if you had this large promotion or this big job or this career shift for quite some time, you might really feel so seen and it's so relieving to be able to have some training to apply in your life. So it's very useful for whatever level that you're at. All right, so come on in, say hi, type in, give me a hey, tell me where you're dialing in from, and I'm going to get us started right away. Are you ready? So, if you've seen me before, I'm often just dancing in my chair, kind of doing the double snap, getting some energy going. But this time, I have my easel over here, and I've prepared for you some materials that you can go through with me, and also if you check your email and you're inside this group, I emailed you a workbook that you can follow along with or keep for afterwards to reference to this training. If you haven't received it, if you're not on my email list, just ping me at joe@joeleader.com and I'll make sure that you're on the list and I'll send you one. Are you ready? Shall we get started? Today is the 8 challenges that a woman might feel, anybody, but this is a women's leadership group, a woman might feel when she is newly promoted or in a high level position or when she has a lot of responsibility and how it shows up. Are you ready? I'm going to take you through. Okay, so here's number one. Number one is when we are up leveled and we feel the pressure to perform. That's number one. We feel suddenly like when we're elevated, we have a big job, there are higher expectations on our delivery. What I'm going to share with you is the key challenge that I see impacting women, the emotional response that I think that is brought up by that challenge, what it sounds like the inner narrative, the ways it can show up in behavior or in the ways that we're being, and then finally the fix. And I'm going to do this for each of the 8. This is what you have also in the workbook. Are you ready? So, if we're feeling a pressure to perform, if we're feeling high expectations, if we're feeling that sense that it's all on our shoulders, it can often trigger self-doubt. Feeling, is this job too big for me? Or am I meeting expectations? Am I up for this? Am I good enough? Am I doing this good enough? If this resonates for you, I'd love for you to type a comment in. In fact, I want to encourage you to think about all 8 of these. And if I really land on one that feels like that's me, why don't you type in the comments? That's me. Hi, Dolores. Hi, Michelle. I see some friends joining. Lovely to have you gals. So if you're feeling this pressure to perform, if you're put in a position where suddenly you feel like the expectations are giving you a sense of anxiety, a sense that you need to really step it up, and if the resulting feeling is self-doubt, it might trigger some behaviors like flip-flopping over big decisions. What I find happens for many of my clients, especially right when they come to me, is if they're starting to doubt whether they're up for the task, the way it can show up is this desire to simply opt out, to relieve the tension or the pressure by making a big decision, basically resigning. We're going there. We're starting off big. I like to say nothing triggers imposter syndrome like a good promotion. And I see this happen all the time. It's like this sober smallness befalls us where we think, oh my gosh, this is serious. And I'm worried and I'm not sure I can do this. Maybe I should just surrender. Maybe I'm tempted to relieve this tension with some radical action like just opting out, downgrading my role. And you know what? I think the pressure is even added when people in our community start heaping praise and even more attention on the promotions that we've been given. Does that make sense? Like if you're not really sure that you're handling the task well and you're already stressed and anxious, and then if your mom or your sister or your best friend are saying, "Oh, it's so great that you got this promotion," and you have this secret self-doubt that you're not up for it, it makes it worse. So, if this is your experience and you start noticing that you're starting to flip flop over the biggest decision, like maybe I should just quit, maybe I should bolt, maybe I should downgrade, maybe I should get a different job, you might be just trying to force this stress relief with a big action. But I'm telling you, it actually isn't the real solution if it's coming from a triggered place because you haven't dealt with the core issue that what you really need is to upgrade your confidence. You might be trying to solve the stress by not having the big job. And that's why you're considering a demotion. But the real fix is for you to find a way to uplevel your confidence, for you first to be able to evaluate, is this really too big for me? Or do I just need to handle some tricky emotions of being leveled up to a high level position and really be able to process those emotions so that I can make a very clear, measured, mature response, not an emotionally reactive one. Does that make sense? Does that resonate for you? Hi, Dolores. She says, that's me. So, right. So, some of my clients, when they're promoted into a big position, it gives you the jitters. It gives you sort of like this shudder where you don't know if you're really ready. But rather than go directly to think, maybe I should just not do this at all, what I want to encourage us to consider is that we want to make a really good decision through processing our emotions and our fear before we make some big decision out of stress. Does that resonate? Rather than just fleeing, we want to think it through because honestly, I actually have another client that's in my group right now who is deciding that her current role is not the right fit. She's not happy with the culture. She's not happy with the culture of overwork and overstress and striving to perform and outdoing yourself every day to continue to get praise. It's just not the right thing for her. It's too stressful. But she's making this decision from a very conscious, evaluative place, not one just to relieve the stress, but to follow what her heart really desires, which is a much more powerful place to move towards something than to just flee against what we're afraid to feel. All right, so this is the first one. It's a pretty big one. If you're considering a demotion, there's a lot in here about how we can work on your confidence to see, first of all, is it just your negative self-talk that's telling you you're not up for this? Do you have some sticky negative beliefs that aren't helpful and aren't even true? We would want to unearth those first before you made your big decision. So how did you like number one? The pressure to perform. Is that good? All right, we're going to move on to number two. You ready? Okay, the second trigger that I see, the second circumstance that can really be part of overwhelm, especially when we're rapidly promoted, especially when we have a new big job, is we're tasked to step up, to level up, to move up a level and rapidly handle a new workflow. And the resulting experience that that can bring is this task overwhelm. And what I hear women say so frequently, and let's see if this is you, is if you're suddenly finding yourself in a new position or in a new company or in a new role where you feel like you've really got a lot of responsibility and things are coming at you really fast, you might, if you feel like you're overwhelmed with too much to do, that's what it sounds like. I have way too much to do and not enough time. And I hear sort of this hyperbole that comes out, this all or nothing type of verbiage, this exaggerated language, like it's all on me, sort of this emphatic feeling of exaggerated pressure. It's so much, it's so busy. I'm completely overwhelmed. If you find yourself sort of debriefing that, your experience with your people, with your partner, with your roommates, with your cat, and you're finding yourself falling into this really exaggerated emotional experience about how you're debriefing your workflow, then you are sort of falling into this binary thing of like I either win or I lose. I'm either going to succeed or I'm going to totally fall on my face. That's how I see the level up challenge really create overwhelm for women in leadership. And it can be like our go-to. If you were an individual contributor before you had this high level role, if you were somebody who performed flawlessly and got great results or a lot of praise, if you really identified with being the go-to gal that gets things done, if you really developed a reputation for yourself as somebody who was trustworthy to always make it happen, get things done, then your go-to will be to stay in action, to be that doer. Does that resonate for you? If you were an individual contributor that developed this strategy of high performance equals high output equals a lot of work done, then your default way of handling stress and a lot of incoming will be to buckle down, head down, grind it out, and try to get all the work done. So this is the way it can show up is with overwork. If you're feeling this type of stress and this is your reaction, you might find you leave the office, you come home, and then right after dinner, you open up your laptop and you hammer away again and you try to get on top of things. You find yourself working nights and weekends. And you can end up bottlenecking things. People asking you for so many things and you're trying to get after so many things. You feel behind and you feel like you're keeping people stuck and you feel bad because everybody's waiting on you, and that adds stress. I know that resonates for many of my clients and many of my past peers. Another symptom of needing to level up and having task overwhelm is that your inbox is just overflowing. The demands on your time, the requests for meetings, and the amount of email that you receive that's asking for your opinion, for your weigh-in, for your decision, for your, all the things, it becomes overwhelming. So who in the group really feels like number two is your thing? Hey, Michelle, she's like, this one resonates so much. Yeah, because we've developed like this whole identity of being excellent. And for us, excellence means we get stuff done. We don't complain, we don't whine, we deliver. But that identity gives us there's a distortion there as you leveled up. You can't keep being the doer. So I'm going to give you some fun metaphors now. You ready? I talk in metaphor a lot. There's this saying, maybe you've already heard it, that if the task is to eat an elephant, the wrong way to do it is to run at it with your mouth open and just start chewing. Not a very pleasant image, is it? But if you imagine that, it's like the least efficient way to accomplish a monumental task to just start doing the little things and doing them as fast and as much and as over and over as you can and filling all the hours with chewing so that finally someday the whole thing is digested. But that's the flawed thought of the doer, the person who has created an identity for herself as being the go-to, as being the trusted deliverer, as being the person who gets things done. That will be her default. The other image that I sometimes talk about is like as you ascend the ladder, as you're rising up and you're getting promotions and you're getting more levels of responsibility, the only way you can be at the higher rung is for you to let go of the lower one that you were holding on before. So this image helps us see that what the real fix is for us to step up, to literally rise up and let go of task accomplishment as our strategy to feel safe and secure, letting go of task accomplishment as our go-to behavior that allows us to feel like we're doing something and that we're productive and that makes us feel safe and solid, and to start letting go of being that type of performer. It's very disorienting at first, right? At first you feel like you're not doing anything. You don't feel like you're being productive. But what we're learning how to do is we're learning how to leverage other people and delegate. We're learning how to unbottleneck by receiving and passing along work as fast as it comes to us. Not to be lazy, not to shirk responsibility, but to be smart and strategic and leverage other teams and grow people so that we can work at a collective speed, not the speed of one person trying to eat the elephant. Another big part of this is for us to develop better boundaries. So another image that I've shared even inside our Facebook group is this whole idea of now you are the conductor of the orchestra. You're no longer the player of an instrument. I love this image, right? Like you used to be this virtuoso that played phrases of music and did it so eloquently and perfectly that everyone applauded. And then, of course, because you're such an amazing performer, you get promoted, and all of a sudden there you are standing in front of everybody without an instrument and just a baton. And you think, but I'm not doing anything. I don't feel comfortable. I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm not playing music, right? That's the distortion of the doer. But the challenge is for us to develop boundaries and better restraint over feeling like the only way for music to be made is if we run around to all of the groups and play some of the flute, and play some of the violin, and play some of the trumpet, that somehow that will help the result be better. That's a flawed thought, right? You can see that in this demonstration. That as what we need to do is restrain ourselves from being addicted to performing and find our value in drawing out the performance of everyone else. This is strategy over self-reliant task accomplishment. And that's how we accomplish more as we rise up. That's the challenge of leveling up. So, how does that one go? Michelle says, sometimes I think, let's see what she says. Sometimes I think, then I crave it. The attention, all the emails feeling needed, right? That I'm so glad you said that because you can learn all this stuff and be like, yeah, that all makes sense to me. But the reason why we have difficulty implementing them is because we have attachments to the old way of being that feels safe and secure and normal and comfortable and familiar. And so it's challenging for us to be in a different way. And that's where coaching comes in. That's what I'm offering you. Michelle says, half of my day today was delegation, and at the end of the day, I felt so good. I'm getting there. Awesome. It's lovely to have some clients in the group kind of giving some testimony. I appreciate you, girl. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to comment freely. I want to hear how this resonates for you. It's all about how I develop my trainings and how I know what's resonant for my community and for my audience. All right, we're going to move on to number 3. You ready? Here we go. The third challenge, the third trigger to our overwhelm. When we're leveled up, we need to develop and master and display resilient, resounding, self-reliant self-confidence. We need to be able to hold that space. If you're the director of the orchestra, if you're the conductor, you can't be shirking and timid and wondering if it's okay. The whole orchestra is expecting you to stand and direct and deliver and guide and signal when someone should come in or play louder or softer. We need to be able to stand. This is the metaphor, but really sometimes it is physically taking up space and allowing for us to be at this higher level with confidence. But the trigger will often come that then we feel nervous and we compare ourselves to others. If we don't have that inherent self-confidence, we can kind of squinch down and feel like, oh, I don't know that I'm as good as she is. Oh, look at her. She looks so confident and self-assured. I'm so not like that. I'm dying inside. That whole compare and despair process that happens. And it brings on this nervous energy of feeling like maybe I'm not enough. And the way it can show up in your head, in your mind, your mind's ear is, I just don't know if I'm ready for this level. Or I don't know if I have enough experience. I see so many women do this. They think, I feel triggered. I don't feel like I'm competent. I don't feel large and in charge, so I should go get some more training. It makes sense. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like the rational thing to do. You might be talking about it with your girlfriends over cocktails. Yep, I think it's time for me to get my MBA. I need to get a certification so I can really deliver at this level. Sounds very adult. I need to go and, get some more qualifications. I need to learn more. Or just even if you're at a new organization, you might be telling yourself, I just need to learn more about how all the things work here. That is a distorted thought. It sounds appropriate, it sounds mature and sounds smart and grown up, but it really is telling yourself, I don't have right now what I need. And I'm telling you, you do have right now what you need. So when you're in this sort of squished down experience, it can show up like seeking external validation, wanting to get the win, wanting someone to tell you, yes, you did it, pat on the head, a gold star, attention from your boss, a client raving about you. You crave that sense externally that tells you you're on track. It's what gives you that urge that you need more knowledge. You think somehow being better prepared will help stave off feeling like you're not enough. But it's not the real solution. The real solution, and I'm going to share it with you here, is that you already have amazing strengths, amazing capabilities that you can leverage right now without needing to wait, without needing to scoop up more knowledge, without needing to gather more training, without more time needing to pass. When you focus on your strengths and really see your successes and develop better self-talk, then you are developing internal validation. Then you don't need to go and seek the praise or the reassurance externally because you already know before you've even started your day that you have got it, that you're enough, that you're not missing anything, that you don't need to go gather more qualifications or certifications or preparation or knowledge. And that's the kind of self-confidence that has you lead the orchestra, knowing that I've got this. The reason why external validation is a bit of a trap is that it's a never-ending quest. If we need to know that we're good enough based on only it coming from some external source, then we need to keep seeking that external source every single day rather than it naturally always being within us. So while praise is lovely, and it's lovely to know that you're making the grade, and it's lovely to get, accolades, it shouldn't be what we're relying on as we're challenged to step up to the next level to feel comfortable and confident in our leadership. So the challenge here is to decouple our confidence from our need to prove that we're good enough. It's for us to already know that the skills, the talents, the inner characteristics, the way I roll are already what I need to be able to perform at this job. And knowing that to be true so that we don't have to go out and prove it. How does that sound? How does that suit you? Does that feel good? All right, so we're going to cruise on to the next one. It's one that I find a lot of people are really triggered by. It's a big challenge of stepping up to a higher level role. Dun, dun, dun. It's public speaking. If this makes you shudder, if this gives you anxiety, then this is a wonderful moment for you to get some training on why public speaking is such a trigger and how you can overcome this particular type of overwhelm. So if public speaking shows up as anxiety and even panic, your inner dialogue can be, what are they thinking of me? Like you're up there standing and delivering, you're trying to answer a question in a meeting, all eyes are on you. You come off mute, you're in the hot seat, and you might be thinking, "Oh my gosh, what do they think of me? Am I doing this right? Am I good enough?" The other ways that this can show up is in this visceral physical experience, right? Your adrenal glands are activated. You have this fight or flight response where your heart starts to race. You feel like you're flushed with sweat. You get hot. Your stomach is all nervous and jumbly, or you feel a tightness in your chest. These are the ways that this particular challenge can demonstrate itself in a very visceral way. But leaders need to be able to explain things, answer questions, motivate, inspire, share vision, do stand-ups, all hands meetings where we need to provide reassurance or information or resolve tension and speak publicly. But the effective public speaker is one that is confident in their communication and their skills to be able to communicate, even extemporaneously. But what we'll often do is we'll fall into overly preparing. See if this is you. If you're really nervous about public speaking, what a lot of people will do is they'll fall into this idea that they need to prepare their entire speech, line by line by line by line, every single thing they're going to say, and then they practice it over and over and over again. But this is not the way to unblock yourself from performance anxiety. It's not the way to really deliver. It's a trap. Because the minute you lose your place, see if this resonates for you. If you lose your place in your notes, you'll panic. You'll feel like you have a nervous moment of losing your composure and trying to figure out where you are. If you trip up, then you start stuttering or flailing or being aware of how nervous you are or worrying even further. What do they think of me? And you're falling into a tailspin. So focusing on exactly what you're going to say is not a productive strategy for you becoming an effective public speaker. So what the real fix is for you to just focus on the message. Focus on what you're explaining, not on the performance. I almost like to think about, like, what if you pull apart the message is this thing over here that my words form. The performance is my body. But that's not where I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to be thinking about my heart racing. I'm not going to be thinking about the fact that my mouth is dry. I'm not going to think about the fact that my voice is shaking. I'm not going to think about the fact that my pits are sweating. That's not the focus. The focus is on what I'm explaining. So I often will give my clients, I'll give you this little tip now. Like if you think about maybe describing this pen, does that make you nervous? No. How would you describe this pen? It has black ink, has a clicker, it has like a little thumb hold. It's made by this certain brand, right? Like you could just start describing this thing and you take the focus off of whether or not you're doing it perfectly perfect and the lighting is good and everyone loves how you look and if your shirt is a good color. You're thinking instead about what I'm communicating and how well I'm describing the thing. When you can take the focus off of you and onto the message, you've instantly got a hack that will help you be so much more effective. And it doesn't matter if you don't use a perfect word or that you lose your place, because there is no place. There's only the information that you're attempting to convey. Do you like this one? I recently have been coaching a gal in my workshops, in my private group, who really feels like this is a trigger for her. And she realized that when she thinks she's messing up, no one in the audience is even aware because they have not heard the speech before. They don't know what her inner dialogue is. They don't know that she forgot maybe one bullet point or said something sort of incorrectly. They're literally sort of like blank slate, just taking in the information at a very high level, kind of first time hearing it. So being able to see that the audience's experience is different than ours is also really very helpful. All right, shall we go on? You want to see number 5? Let's do it. Okay. The 5th challenge that comes with leveling up and having a big job is making decisions. Decision making is a big part of what leaders need to do. People will ask you, what should we do? Should we release this amount of the budget? Should we kill this program? Are these results enough? We're behind schedule. Should we charge the client more money? There's all of these decisions that constantly need to be made that we don't predict, right? That's not part of our to-do list. Stuff just comes to us when we're in a leadership position and we have to make a decision. When you're in this challenge of leadership, the trigger can be fear of failure, fear that I'm going to make a mistake, fear that I'm going to do something terribly sinful that will damage the company, damage my reputation, humiliate myself. It can sound like I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to fall on my face. Does number 5 resonate with anyone in the group? It can really trigger this feeling of exposure, feeling vulnerable, feeling like you're really out there. You're not somebody who has previously just followed and executed on the decision that the leader made. Now you have to make the decision. I often like to talk about, let's talk about other ways it shows up. Sometimes it shows up as this analysis paralysis, right? You've heard that term, where you stall, where you think, well, I need to sleep on it, or let's just get some more information, or I need to think a little bit more about it. Again, these types of behaviors that sound really mature or they sound really smart, like we're being a responsible adult, but they're a little bit of a tactic for safety that we don't need. When we're stalling because we think we need more information, we're really just feeding perfectionism or our fear of failure. That's what I wrote here with a couple of exclamation points. Perfectionists particularly can have difficulty making fast decisions, making real-time decisions, making decisions without all of the information because they will really feel exposed that it won't be perfectly perfect. So is that you? Say yes, that's me if that's you. So now is the time where I like to tell the little tale about Jeff Bezos, the founder, CEO of Amazon, who makes a lot of decisions every day. And his whole ethos, his whole philosophy is that he makes decisions with 70% of the information that he thinks is available, 70% of the information that he he had. He doesn't wait for 85, 95, 99% of the information and carefully weigh the pros and cons and think about what could possibly happen and sleep on it before he decides. No, he moves fast and he makes the best decision he can with enough information and then he moves on. So having this decisiveness means letting go of perfectionism, letting go of obsessing over whether or not you may not have done it perfectly, and allowing for that being part of the skill. I need to start moving faster. I need to decide iteratively. I need to make a decision and not then worry if I made the wrong decision and beat myself up about it, but then make another decision from that place, and then another, and then another, and then another. It's the fail forward methodology. So we need to learn not to beat ourselves up, not to obsess over whether or not we made a mistake. And if we'd have only chose door number two instead of door number one, maybe it all would have turned out better. That's just another flawed thought because time's always moving, things are always changing. We can't go back and think that if we chose the other door that somehow it would be different, that would have worked. We don't know that because we were never in control of this future state that we're in that we could only predict or guess at when we made the decision the first time. Are you following me? We think that we're going to somehow wrangle control over the circumstances so that we can make a good decision. But what we really need to do is just learn how to make a decision and then move from there. So I like to say you need to stop this all or nothing thinking. That's why I crossed it out. And stop catastrophizing. Stop thinking that there was a right decision or a wrong one, or that everything will fall apart if you somehow make a mistake. It's releasing some of that do or die thinking. We need to practice taking risks, and then we just need to process our decisions and evaluate them objectively. We need to I teach all of my clients a very simple three-step process just to evaluate your decisions of what went well, what didn't go so well, and what are you going to do now? And keep moving, not obsessing. How do you like that one? All right, going to keep moving. Number 6 is processing time. It's how do we prioritize and process with agility? How do we nimbly handle the speed of having a big position? It means being like the way this can show up, this challenge can arrive, is that we can just feel confused. We can feel sort of like numb. I like to say sort of deer in the headlights or stunned silent, just like if you have so much coming at you and you don't feel like you have enough time to process. The way it can come up is that you're thinking like, am I even doing this right? Like, do I even know what I'm doing? Is this going okay? And other ways it can show up is that we just start to like shut down and maybe even bottle up. Like I've got one client who she often finds she's just rapidly been promoted and she's sitting at the table with like presidents of companies that she's working for as a marketing director, running their whole marketing division for these big fast food chains that you've heard of. And she's sitting there and she just feels so intimidated that she can't really process the information as fast as it's coming at her. And it's making her really doubt her capability. And it's stunning her into silence. It's pushing her into a lot of self-judgment and feeling like she's stupid or she's not smart enough or that she needs to learn how to do things faster. And it's now starting to affect her personal life because it's so much that she's sort of like taking on board but not able to action at work or give voice to at work, that she comes home and she downloads everything to her husband. And that's a very common experience, not just with being overwhelmed because of the agility needed, but just overwhelm in general. Sometimes we really offload to our partners, to people in our home where we feel safe. And that's not the most effective way, right? Because now we're co-opting a personal relationship for work stress. So you know that that's something that is not what you want to do. The real solution is for you to just be more open and vulnerable about this. It's for you to actually approach leadership and say, I've got a lot coming at me and I need to align with what the priorities are. Here's another story I like to tell often at this juncture. I'm aware of an MBA program that trains this by purposefully overloading their students with too much to do. They give them something like, imagine 50,000 things to decide, and there's only really real time for 8,000 decisions to be made. So they're training their candidates to immediately start to decide on what they're not even going to consider. This is very uncomfortable. If you're somebody who likes to get all of your work done and get to inbox zero and make everything neat and feel like you don't want to be behind, for you to decide not to evaluate something, for you to decide to ignore something, for you to decide not to take action on something, especially if it's from somebody higher up. Like I used to not say no to VPs who were a layer higher than me when they asked me to do something because I figured I had to. But really, I needed to understand that my nimble agility required me to say, nope, nope, not now. This season is not right. This is when I'll evaluate new projects. That's not a priority. I needed to actually establish boundaries, which is another skill that we can develop. I also like to advise that sometimes when you're at this level, you can't necessarily get the support or the counsel or the mentorship from your own boss because he or she doesn't even know. They're in a different stratosphere thinking about like long range vision or legal issues or profitability, and they're less capable of really mentoring us when we're still dealing with the real life challenges of getting work done. So I often coach you to find a peer group of advisors where you can um, play out some of the challenges that you're experiencing, to have a safe space to get counsel with stuff that your boss doesn't want to be bothered with. But that's something that you may not have thought that you would need as you rise up to this next level. But you might find as you become a director or a VP or higher, there are fewer and fewer people that you can just be absolutely candid with. So you want to actively go find a group of people that are trusted, that you can bounce ideas with and help process your information so you're not bringing it home. You're not stressing out your cat, your boyfriend, your kid. All right. So that's the agility of processing. We have two more. How you doing? Are we doing well? Give me a comment if you're still tracking. Okay, the seventh challenge of rising up, of being promoted, of being at a high level position is suddenly you're expected to be an innovator and an influencer and have a seat at the table. Now you're seen as important. You're seen as somebody that has a voice and an opinion, and it can really show up as feeling intimidated. It's feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to go sit with the execs. I'm going to an offsite. They're all going to listen to me. What am I going to say? It can show up in your mental talk as, I don't want to say anything stupid. I don't want to say something that is like, going to reveal me as ignorant. I don't want to expose myself. I don't want to humiliate myself. So if this resonates for you, some of the ways that might display, some of the ways it might come out is this self-doubt and self-editing. I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to observe. I'm just going to listen. And it's making yourself small. For a lot of us, I hear that we might be tracking and hearing things and we think we want to say something, but we're not sure if it's stupid to say it because maybe somebody else has already said it or maybe we should already know it. And we hesitate, we self-edit, we hold back, but we hesitate for too long and then the moment passes and now we're not really inhabiting that seat at the table because we're leaning out. We're not letting our voice be heard. We're not commenting. We're not participating. We're not actively engaging. Even though we're paying attention and we're stressing out sitting there, we're questioning ourselves rather than speaking up. We're wondering, do I really belong? And again, this can be a moment where we think, maybe I should just demote myself. Maybe I don't belong here. I don't know that I even understand all the lingo that's going on here. Maybe I should just opt out and step down. I find a lot of these overlap actually. Like if you're at a meeting where the pace of discussion is going really fast, And the discussion topics are very sophisticated for the business, and you're not really tracking and you're trying to process. And you're being expected to be an innovator and an influencer. And you need to speak up and speak publicly and have self confidence, right? You see how all of these challenges are layered upon one another. Of course, you're overwhelmed. You haven't had the training. Nobody's training you for how to up level. There's not a training camp of how to be promoted. There's a training camp for how to get a promotion. But how many people are really training their employees to then operate at this higher level? I see an absence of this, and I feel like that's the void that I'm filling. But I digress. All right, so the real solve here, rather than longing for a demotion, rather than self-editing and sitting on your hands, rather than shutting up and just observing so that you don't embarrass yourself, the real fix is for you to be courageous, to be curious, and to collaborate, to be able to ask a question, even if you think it sounds dumb, to ask for input, to collaborate with your peers across different departmental lines. You might not be an expert in their realm, but you are there for a reason. And that requires confidence, right? And that's what we're going to work on. Okay, let's keep going. Last one. You ready? The last one. The eighth challenge that comes with a high-level promotion or a big job is this nebulous idea that somehow we need to manifest and project executive presence. We have an idea of what that looks like, and we have an idea that it's not us. We feel small, we feel timid, we feel like we don't belong, we feel like we're not masterful, we feel like we're an imposter, we feel like all of our flaws show. And so we're feeling vulnerable and humble, like I don't even know what I'm doing. The inner dialogue could be, I'm out of my league. I don't know what I'm doing. It can also show up as deflecting praise. I sometimes call this the D's. When we really feel like we don't belong at the highest levels, we start to do things like discount our contributions. We think, oh, it's nothing, it's not that big a deal, or we downsell what we do. We don't see that it required any special character or expertise or ability. Or we deflect praise. We think like, oh no, really, don't put me on a pedestal because I don't belong, I don't deserve it. Sometimes this can manifest as hiding out or wanting to play small or stay small. Keep our head down. Sometimes, curiously, it shows up as women trying to earn the promotion they've already been given, trying to display all of these positive characteristics and start creating so much work product so that everybody knows that they really do deserve to be at the level that they are at, which is unnecessary. You've already been given the position. It's time for you to operate that way, not to feel like you don't deserve it and you need to prove yourself. And then I have put this in exclamation points as my shorthand for tote bags. It's this malady that so many women seem to suffer. See if this resonates for you, where we collect information that we think we need to better prepare ourselves and to better educate ourselves. We collect white papers or materials from offsites or things that we gather from a retreat or from a work trip or tabs open on our computer or articles on LinkedIn, all these things that we think that we need to help prepare ourselves and make us better somehow. And then we carry that stuff around. Literally, some of my clients come to me, they are toting around bags of paper, lots of snippets and things that they want to get to, that they commute to and from, constantly carrying on their commute, these things that they want to get after because they're convinced if they have that knowledge, if they gathered all that stuff up, somehow they would be better and they would be worthy and they'd be ready for the promotion that they have. And it's absolute lunacy. It's lovely to keep growing, but it's torture to tell yourself that somehow you're not ready yet and that you need something else. It's just your lack of self-confidence, your lack of trust in your skills that are feeding you that belief. So, what's the solve? The solve is for you to learn how to receive the attention that you've been given. It's allow for yourself to be seen in the role, to accept the podium. It's allowing yourself to stand as the conductor in front of the orchestra and get more comfortable with taking up space and allow for that praise. Finding a way to accept a compliment can be very challenging for some, especially women who find themselves comfortable diminishing the praise and attention that they receive. They're more comfortable being a helper and a subject matter expert than the lead performer, than the person that's out front making the decisions and exposed. Sometimes it also involves actually asking for more money or being able to accept the money that you've been given. I have got one client who received a promotion and she is getting paid an extraordinary amount of money at her new role. And you would think, I'd like to have that. That sounds like a good problem to have. But she actually feels like it's a problem because she doesn't feel like she is really worthy of commanding that kind of salary. She's got an inner belief that she's not deserving enough, that she's not accomplished enough, that she's not there enough, she's not, arrived to be able to receive that kind of money. And that's work we want to do because you deserve to be at the table. You have merit. You have something to offer. You need to learn how to accept that praise and accept the attention and accept the salary. And if the salary isn't there, we need to learn how to ask for the salary that we know we deserve. Whew. How are we doing, ladies? This is a lot. That was your 8 challenges of being promoted. The way it sounds in your head and the reactions that we have to that challenge. So here's the summary. They are the pressure to perform, the challenge to really, oh, I just spilled some water on me. The challenge to really level up, the challenge to demonstrate self-confidence and to feel self-confident. The next one was actually public speaking, but I mixed them up. To make decisions faster, to handle the pace of work and to process things at the speed of business, to own our seat at the table and to demonstrate executive presence. And all of the triggers that this will bring about will be things like overwhelm, self-doubt, comparison, falling into imposter syndrome, the fear of failing, the fear of making a mistake, falling into confusion, feeling fearful or anxious, hesitating and holding back, not speaking up, hiding out, and ultimately seeking a demotion. That's a lot. And I think what exacerbates it is that perhaps before this moment, no one's named it for you and said, this happens. There are so many women in my group for whom this resonates, for whom says that all resonates for me. I have felt that. I have been there. Sometimes I'm better, but sometimes I fall right back. If this feels like newsworthy, if no one's been talking about this with you, you've been thinking, I need to deal with this alone. I need to either suffer through, I need to knuckle down and figure this stuff out. I need to just get over this hump. I need to just somehow work through this overwhelm. I need to figure it out on my own, and then somehow, someday, I'll feel better. Enter me. This is why I'm here. For over 30 years, I have been coaching people in leadership positions to be able to do all of these things. I've been developing lessons so that they can up-level their skills, and moreover, inserting coaching so that when they have these negative thoughts or these detracting beliefs that are drawing them off of implementing the lesson, so that they can really inhabit the leadership capabilities and behaviors that they long to have so that they're effective, so that they're calm, so that they like their work, so that they feel confident and fulfilled in doing their work, and so they actually might even have a little bit of fun at their work. That's what I do, gals. That's me as a leadership coach. So this is the moment where I'm going to share with you how my teaching can bring you the lessons that you need beyond this overview, but to deeply embed them inside of your DNA so that you have all this. This is stuff that you know deeply, not just cerebrally, not just because you heard about it and you agree with it, but because you have implemented the lesson and onboarded and integrated behaviors so that you start operating in a different way. I am providing tutoring so that you can level up your leadership. And that's what this is all about. It's my group coaching program called Completely Confident Leadership. And this is what we do. I provide all of the leadership training in modular form, in small bite-sized videos in a members only area that you have lifetime access to. Step by step by step by step. On the next page, I will show you all the things that you would learn inside Completely Confident Leadership. But there is a reason why it is not just a self-guided program of like webinars and podcasts that you listen to. Because what I see is for you to deeply understand the lessons for your own self, for you to personally onboard the training in an integrated way so that you can implement. What's missing is that we want to have weekly coaching so that you can learn a lesson and then be coached on how well you're able to integrate and implement that lesson. That is what seals in the new learning and the new behavior. It's also what unearths the beliefs that are detracting you from owning that lesson or where you're finding hurdles or hiccups so that we can clear the way and that you can continue to grow. It's making the lessons personal. Another big part of Completely Confident Leadership is every single woman that comes and joins my program, I start you off with a leadership assessment. It's a personal assessment that shows your clear strengths that we're going to leverage for you to feel more confident and the reactive tendencies that you have that reveal those limiting beliefs and behaviors that are detracting from your most effective leadership self. This is how it makes it more personal for you inside my program to grow as a leader and really up level. All of this is done in the most impressive, loving sisterhood. I have a private group where we all meet every week. And there's just nothing like it. I just think it's the most amazing thing, and so do my clients who get amazing results. It's a 4-month curriculum that we take 5 months to do, so there's spaciousness and time for us to practice all of the lessons and take some vacations, so we're never in a hurry. And I have special bonuses all over the place. Here's what some things include. Because the greatest challenges in your leadership path happen in real time on a Tuesday morning or a Thursday afternoon, I offer real-time coaching via this super cool free app that all of my clients have. I'm trying to pull it up now so I could show it to you. It's called Voxer. It was very popular in the 90s. And what we call this is having real-time on-the-spot coaching. So if you're having a crisis of confidence, if you're giving a public speech, if you've received some challenging feedback, if anything arises that's a moment for you where you're feeling the need to reach out and get support or get coaching or have a sounding board or for someone like me to be your champion, I offer this daily access to me via this voice text messenger app. I think there's nothing like it. It's me being a coach in your pocket. Another bonus that I offer is, in addition to me being a leadership coach, for over 30 years, I've been a public speaking coach. I like to help people speak effectively, speak confidently with authority without distracting mannerisms, to inspire people and motivate people, and I can teach you how to do that too. It's every quarter I offer a public speaking workshop inside Completely Confident Leadership, so when you're a member, you will be able to practice your speaking skills with an expert and get feedback so that you can grow this most portable, important skill. And then the third bonus that I offer is that women who have graduated from Completely Confident Leadership and don't want to leave the fold are part of a special alumni group that meets every week to do sort of expanded, in-depth versions of our core curriculum, like the 2.0 lesson, taking things deeper, polishing their leadership, because we never stop growing. We always are learning. They're in this community that is full of women that just love on each other. Um, we just did a retreat actually, and several of the women joined. They travel together, they love each other. Some of them are watching right now. It's just an amazing community. But when you're a regular student, I invite you to join all of their alumni calls as well for as long as you'd like to get extra coaching and to double down on your learning. All right, so that's what I'm all about, gals. I am offering a step-by-step lesson curriculum with personalized coaching that gives you leadership confidence. It helps you release whatever's going on for you that you feel like is missing or holding you back or causing you stress. You get on my calendar. Your next step is for you to get on my calendar. You come to my website at joeleader.com/apply. And at the very top, you'll see an option to book a call with me. Every single woman that comes into my program passes through a filter of me, which hopefully is something that you would love to have. It allows me to meet my future clients, for us to see if we're a fit, for me to understand the challenges that you're experiencing and whether my program will fulfill the challenges, whether we can solve them. So we get to meet, and then if you decide it's a yes and I think it's a fit, we dive in. So you want to hit me up. Come to my website, www.joeleader.com/apply. You'll see all of the program details that I'm explaining here. I'm going to show you on the next page. And you book a call with me. It is the next step for you to take. Even if it's not the right thing for you ultimately, that's what we can discover together. It's a consultation. It's allowing me to understand more about who's out there in my community, what they need, and you to understand if my program is what you've been seeking. Okay, so you're wondering what the leadership training includes. Are you ready? I took a minute last night and I wrote all these things down. This is everything that you will learn inside Completely Confident Leadership. All right, I know we're a little over time, so I'm going to speak fast. You ready? You will learn how to give direct feedback, resolve conflict, make clear requests without hurting the relationship, dissolve drama and defensiveness in yourself and in the workplace. It's huge. Motivate a team, manage up, how to deal with dominant behavior and negative people, passive aggressive people, how to deliver speeches confidently, that's part of the program, how to delegate, how to be more decisive, how to leverage your strengths and mitigate your weaknesses, how to develop executive presence so that you can be promoted if that's what you want, or you can merely enjoy your promotion if that's what you have, how to capably handle stress, how to cure your anxiety, and most of all, how to know, love, and trust yourself so that you can be more confident and feel at peace, feel free, feel at ease, to be able to enjoy your evenings and weekends, to have a full life and not be governed by the overwhelm that you feel at work. That's pretty amazing stuff. And if you stick with me, I have some surprises for you. This weekend, I'm going to share some more ideas for you about how this works, some more examples of how this works. But for now, I just want to remind you to go to joeleader.com/apply, get on my calendar. The next cohort is starting next month, but I want you to sign up as soon as you can because it's just me and I only have a few times every day to be able to meet with future clients or to have consultations with you. And I want to say thank you for coming. Let me know what resonated the most for you. Let me know how this training inspired you. Let me know which of the numbers is really your thing. If you want the workbook and you haven't yet received it, check your email, check your spam, or write to me, joe@joeleader.com, and I'll make sure you have it in your hot little hands. And come back tomorrow. Lesson 2 is blowing up imposter syndrome. If you feel like I don't belong, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, everybody else is better than me. Imposter syndrome is something that really smart, capable women suffer, and we are here to blow that up in our training tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come right on in here for our next training. And that's what I've got for you, ladies. Bye for now. See you.